We begin with a horrific train stabbing incident that shook United Kingdom. A man has been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder. The 32-year-old named Anthony Williams is also charged with actual bodily harm and possession of a knife in connection with the incident. The UK police have briefed that only one man out of the 2 people they arrested is being considered a suspect in the horrific stabbing attack. At least 11 people were injured in the stabbing, including 1 railway staff. Police say that another man arrested at the scene was released with no further action, adding that the attack's motive was still being probed, but clarified that there was nothing to suggest this was a terrorist incident. On Saturday, authorities were alerted on an emergency on board a train between Doncaster and London's King's Cross station at around 7:40 p.m. Witnesses on board the train described scenes of chaos as the attacker with a large knife stabbed passengers on board. They also saw a man holding a large knife on the platform after the train halted. The train was stopped at Huntingdon Station in Cambridgeshire, where armed officers backed by police cars swarmed the station. 2 men were initially arrested within 8 minutes of the first emergency call. Huntingdon Station remained closed and cordoned off on Sunday, with the train, now a crime scene, still standing at the platform. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the appalling incident was deeply concerning, while the King said he was truly appalled and shocked by the attack. Ollie Barat is now joining us from London. It's good to see you, Ollie. Probably you can start by giving us an update on the people who were injured and what are the police saying?
That's right. In terms of the 11 people that were injured, 10 of those were taken to hospital from the scene, and one of them, we're told, presented themselves at hospital after the incident had unfolded. We are told that there are still a couple of people in a very serious condition in hospital. Several others have already been discharged. One of those people, who remains in what's being described as a stable but critical condition, is a rail worker who, we're also told, displayed astonishing bravery as this attack was taking place, which police believe actually saved lives and prevented this situation from being even worse than it already was. Eyewitnesses are also talking of how all of this unfolded on board that train, with people barricading themselves into bathrooms, for example, running down the train to try and flee the ongoing attack. With regards to the police investigation, as you say, a 32-year-old has now been charged with those 10 counts of attempted murder that you were listing, a charge of actual bodily harm as well, which relates to what we're told was an assault on a police officer in a custody suite, and, as you were saying, one charge of possession of a knife. There is one further charge of attempted murder as well, and police say that actually relates to a separate incident at a London station hours earlier on Saturday than the Huntingdon incident, which unfolded several hours later on. Police insisting that there is no suggestion that this is linked to terrorism in any way, and therefore one of the lines of inquiry for police will be to exactly establish any kind of motive in this case. The suspect that has been charged is appearing in court today in Peterborough. That will just be a fairly procedural hearing, and you would expect that the suspect after that hearing will be remanded in custody. What we're also seeing at stations like this one in London, but also elsewhere on the transport network, is a more visible policing and security presence to reassure the travelling British public. All sorts of questions raised, of course, about security and safety on Britain's rail network and whether more could and should be done. But given the vast scale of that rail tube network in the British capital and elsewhere in the country, and the number of people who use it every day and the number of stations on that network, some of the security measures that are being suggested, such as checks for knives and weapons, for example, would be simply too onerous and too expensive for the government to roll out. But as I say, there is that increased security presence on the transport network today and in the coming days to try and reassure the British people as much as is possible.
All right, the investigations are currently ongoing. Oli Barat, thank you.